No one at Miller's Fuel and Grill realized they were about to witness a moment that would divide town. What began as an ordinary Saturday morning along Highway 84 would soon raise questions that couldn't be answered, with flashing lights, polished badges, or confident voices. Before the day was over, strangers would become witnesses, routine decisions would be challenged, and two black women on a simple family trip would unknowingly step into the center of something far bigger than either of them imagined. The Texas sun had already warmed the pavement by mid-morning as travelers stopped for fuel, fresh coffee, and a quick break before continuing toward Dallas, Waco, or the small rural communities scattered across Redwood County. Pickup trucks rolled in and out of the station. A retired couple studied a folded road map near the entrance. A father helped his young daughter choose a snack inside the convenience store, while country music drifted softly through the open doorway. Nothing about the morning suggested trouble. A black Chevrolet Tahoe eased quietly beside pump number 6. The vehicle was clean, but carried the faint layer left by hundreds of miles of highway driving. Maya Brooks shifted the SUV into park and smiled toward her younger sister. "We made better time than I expected." Naomi Brooks glanced at the navigation screen before checking the message that had just appeared on her phone. "Grandma says she's already baking the peach pie. She also says if we're late, she's giving our slices to the neighbors." Maya laughed. "She's been making that same threat for 20 years, and she still follows through." They both smiled. The visit mattered more than either of them admitted. Their grandmother had recently completed a difficult recovery after heart surgery, and the entire family had insisted she rest. Evelyn Brooks had agreed only after making everyone promise. They would still gather for Sunday lunch, just as they had done for decades. Maya stepped out into the warm breeze and stretched before reaching for the fuel nozzle across the highway, hidden behind the tinted windshield of an unmarked white patrol cruiser. Officer Daniel Harper lowered a pair of binoculars. "There they are." His partner looked up from the mobile computer mounted between the seats. "You sure that's the vehicle?" Harper never took his eyes off the SUV. "The plate matches." His partner frowned. Dispatch didn't mention probable cause. Harper's jaw tightened. "We weren't told to ask questions." Inside the gas station parking lot, Maya inserted her card into the pump while Naomi remained in the passenger seat, replying to another message. "Grandma says don't stop for fast food." Maya laughed again. "Tell her we haven't even left the gas station yet. You know she thinks every road trip ends with fries." She's probably right. The fuel pump clicked steadily as cars came and went around them. A delivery driver unloaded bread through the rear entrance of the convenience store. An elderly Army veteran wearing a faded baseball cap slowly filled his pickup while watching birds circle above the power lines. A young mother buckled her son into a booster seat before driving away. Life continued exactly as it should. Yet less than 300 yards away, Officer Harper started the patrol cruiser. His partner glanced one final time toward the computer screen. "It still doesn't say they're dangerous." Harper placed the vehicle into drive. "It doesn't have to." The cruiser rolled across the highway without activating its emergency lights. Inside the Tahoe, Naomi looked through the side mirror. "That's the same patrol car that's been behind us since the county line." Maya casually glanced toward the mirror before returning her attention to the fuel pump. "Maybe they're just passing through. You believe that?" "I believe changing our behavior gives people reasons to invent stories." Naomi nodded. "Fair enough." The fuel tank slowly approached full. Neither woman noticed another patrol vehicle quietly turning into the service road behind the station. Nor did they see a third cruiser, slowing several hundred yards away, as if waiting for a signal. The quiet rhythm of the morning remained unchanged, but somewhere nearby, someone had already decided that the next few minutes would not unfold. By chance, the blue and red glow of patrol lights reflected across the gas station windows as two black women stood beside a black SUV, their wrists secured in handcuffs, while stunned customers watched. From every pump, cell phones rose into the air within seconds. Some people whispered that another confrontation was unfolding. Others assumed the officers must already know the whole story. No one realized that everyone standing there, officers, witnesses, and even the women themselves, was only seeing a small piece of a much larger picture. Officer Daniel Mercer stepped forward with the calm confidence of someone who had spent more than a decade serving his community. His expression remained professional, despite the growing crowd. "Ma'am, for everyone's safety, keep your hands where I can see them." The taller woman, dressed in a navy blazer, despite the summer heat, nodded without arguing. Her breathing stayed steady beside her. The younger woman glanced around nervously, trying to understand how a routine stop for fuel had turned into flashing lights. "And handcuffs, we haven't resisted," she said quietly. "Please tell us what's happening." Mercer looked directly at her. "We received a report involving this vehicle. Until we verify everything, we're following procedure." His voice carried authority, but not anger several feet away. Deputy Kyle Harrison wasn't nearly as patient. Fresh out of the academy and eager to prove himself, he interpreted every movement as possible resistance. "They're matching the description," Harrison said loudly enough for nearby customers to hear. "Let's not waste time," Mercer frowned. "We verify facts first across the parking lot." Sergeant Elena Brooks stepped out of another patrol vehicle. Unlike many supervisors, Brooks believed that every investigation deserved patience. "Before judgment, what do we have?" she asked Mercer, handed her the preliminary dispatch notes. "Anonymous tip possible federal property inside the SUV. Suspicious activity reported 20 minutes ago." Brooks read every line twice. "Anonymous caller, yes. Sergeant, no. Independent witness, not yet." She folded the paper and looked toward the two women. Neither was shouting, neither was threatening officers, neither had attempted to flee. Instead, they stood quietly, despite dozens of strangers recording every second. Brooks walked toward them herself. "I'm Sergeant Brooks. I'm going to ask you a few questions." The older woman met her eyes. "Of course, names." "My name is Angela Carter." The younger woman answered next. "Monica Alice, are either of you armed?" "No." "Any weapons inside the vehicle?" "No." "Anything dangerous officers should know about?" Angela hesitated only briefly. "There are secured federal case files inside locked containers." That answer instantly caught Brooks's attention. "Federal? Yes." Before Brooks could ask another question, Harrison interrupted Sergeant. "She's changing her story." Angela remained composed. "I haven't changed anything. You never mentioned federal files. You never asked several people watching exchanged surprised looks." One elderly customer quietly muttered to another, "She sounds awfully calm for someone hiding something." Brooks noticed the difference immediately. Guilty suspects often talked too much or became defensive. Angela spoke only when questioned and answered with remarkable precision. "What agency?" Brooks asked. "I'm not authorized to discuss that publicly." Harrison scoffed convenient answer. Angela simply looked at him. "I understand how it sounds." Monica shifted uncomfortably beside her. "Our identification is inside my purse." Mercer retrieved the purse carefully, while another officer documented every movement with a body camera. Everything followed department policy. No shortcuts, no unnecessary force. No raised voices. That professionalism slowly changed the atmosphere. Even several people recording videos lowered their phones slightly, after seeing how carefully Mercer handled every step. Inside the purse were standard identification cards, credit cards, a notebook, and several business cards, carrying only names without agency logos. Brooks examined one card, no company listed. Angela smiled faintly. "There's a reason." Across the parking lot, another patrol SUV arrived carrying Lieutenant Robert Gaines. He surveyed the growing crowd before speaking quietly to Brooks. "Media scanner already picked this up." She sighed. "Of course they did. Any progress not enough." Gaines looked toward the women. "They've been cooperative completely." He nodded thoughtfully. "Then we stay professional." His words reached every nearby officer. "No assumptions, no unnecessary escalation. Cameras are everywhere, but that's not why we follow procedure. We do it because that's our job." Mercer appreciated hearing that. Too often, tense scenes spiraled because officers let pride replace discipline. Today, leadership refused to allow that. Meanwhile, inside the convenience store, the nervous cashier finally approached the entrance. "I think I should tell someone something." Mercer walked over. "What is it?" "The anonymous caller, yes." "I think I saw him." Mercer's attention sharpened. "When about 15 minutes before you arrived." "What did he look like?" The cashier described a man wearing a baseball cap, pulled unusually low sunglasses, despite cloudy weather, and gloves. In the middle of summer, he never bought gas. Never came inside. He walked around the parking lot, kept staring at that SUV. Mercer exchanged a quick glance with Brooks. Did he say anything? The cashier swallowed. He kept talking on the phone. What about I only heard one sentence? What was it, he said. Once police get here, everything changes. Brooks's instincts immediately shifted. This no longer sounded like an ordinary anonymous tip. It sounded like someone had carefully engineered the entire encounter. Before anyone could process the implication, a black government SUV accelerated into the gas station entrance, followed by two more unmarked federal vehicles, moving with unmistakable urgency as armed federal agents stepped out, their eyes fixed not on the two women in handcuffs, but on every officer surrounding them. The doors of the three black SUVs flew open almost at the same time. Men and women wearing tactical vests moved across the gas station, with disciplined precision, their eyes scanning every corner instead of rushing toward the two women in handcuffs. The atmosphere changed instantly. Even the officers from the sheriff's department recognized that these were not ordinary federal employees. A tall agent stepped forward. Holding up his credentials, Federal Bureau of Investigation. Everyone stay exactly where you are. His voice carried across the entire parking lot. Freeze, the command echoed between the gas pumps, and for a brief moment everything became silent. Officer Daniel Mercer immediately stepped back from Angela and Monica. Sergeant Elena Brooks calmly raised one hand to acknowledge the federal team. I'm Sergeant Brooks with the County Sheriff's Office. We have two individuals detained following an anonymous tip. The lead agent nodded respectfully. I understand nobody here is under investigation from your department. He turned toward Angela. Ma'am. Are you all right? Angela answered with the same calm professionalism she had shown from the beginning. Yes, Agent Collins. Several deputies exchanged confused looks. They knew each other not just by face, but by name. Agent Collins looked toward Brooks. Sergeant, remove the handcuffs. Without hesitation, Brooks nodded to Mercer. He stepped forward and carefully unlocked Angela's wrists. Before doing the same for Monica, I'm sorry for the inconvenience, Mercer said sincerely. Angela rubbed her wrists gently before giving him a small smile. You followed your procedure professionally. I appreciate that those simple words caught several people off guard. She wasn't angry. She wasn't looking for revenge. She recognized the difference between officers doing their duty and someone intentionally manipulating the situation. Agent Collins then faced every deputy gathered around. The anonymous call was part of an organized attempt to interfere with an active federal investigation. The parking lot became completely silent. Our office has been tracking a criminal network involved in identity theft, financial fraud, and interstate corruption for nearly 14 months. He pointed toward the black SUV. The files inside that vehicle are evidence connected to multiple federal indictments. Deputy Harrison's face turned pale. So they weren't suspects. Collins looked directly at him. They were transporting evidence under federal authorization. Angela finally spoke. We couldn't disclose that, because doing so would have compromised the investigation, Monica added quietly. The anonymous caller wanted local law enforcement to delay us long, enough for someone else to intercept the evidence. Sergeant Brooks immediately understood what had happened. The traffic stop wasn't the goal. Collins nodded. It was the distraction. At that exact moment, another FBI agent approached carrying a tablet. We located surveillance footage from businesses across the street. He displayed several images. The mysterious man wearing sunglasses and gloves appeared, clearly walking around the gas station before making a phone call. Minutes later, he entered a waiting vehicle and drove away. Collins looked at Brooks. Thanks to your office's body cameras and your decision not to escalate, we now have additional evidence for federal court. Mercer looked surprised. Our body cameras help your investigation. They may become some of the strongest evidence we have. Brooks folded her arms thoughtfully. So patients protected more than public safety today. It protected justice. The words settled heavily over everyone listening. Deputy Harrison lowered his head. I judged the situation too quickly. Angela walked toward him. You made a mistake. He nodded quietly. I did. What matters now is what you learn from it. He looked up. You'd really say that? After being handcuffed in front of everyone, Angela smiled gently. If we expect communities and law enforcement to trust each other, someone has to be willing to choose understanding over pride. Those words struck not only Harrison, but many of the people recording with their phones. An elderly veteran standing near Pump 4 slowly lowered his camera. I wish more people could hear that. Nearby, a mother filling her minivan looked at her teenage son. Remember this, she whispered. Real strength isn't yelling the loudest. It's staying calm when you have every reason not to. Agent Collins then revealed one final piece of information. Angela Carter isn't simply transporting evidence. He paused briefly. She is the federal supervisor, responsible for coordinating this entire operation. Gasps spread through the crowd. Monica smiled proudly. I told her this morning we'd probably have an interesting day. Even Brooks laughed softly. I'd say that's an understatement. The tension that had filled the parking lot only minutes earlier disappeared, replaced by something much more powerful, mutual respect before leaving. Angela shook Officer Mercer's hand. Thank you for treating us with dignity. Mercer answered honestly. Thank you for reminding us why professionalism matters. She then shook Sergeant Brooks's hand. Your leadership prevented a difficult situation from becoming a tragic one. Brooks smiled. My officers still have things to learn. We all do, as the FBI convoy prepared to leave. Agent Collins addressed the deputies one last time. Today wasn't a story about one side defeating another. It was about good people refusing to let assumptions replace facts. Every deputy stood a little taller after hearing those words. The flashing patrol lights were switched off one by one. Customers returned to pumping gas. Children climbed back into family vehicles. The ordinary sounds of daily life slowly returned. But nobody who witnessed those moments would ever forget what had happened. Some would remember the handcuffs. Others would remember the FBI arriving. But the people who understood the deeper lesson would remember something far more important, that justice is strongest when courage, patience, accountability, and respect stand together. A badge should never replace compassion, and public trust can only grow when officers lead with integrity and citizens respond with honesty. Angela proved that true leadership doesn't demand special treatment. It earns respect through calm actions under pressure. Sergeant Brooks showed that responsible policing means verifying facts before making conclusions. Officer Mercer reminded everyone that professionalism is measured not by authority but by fairness, and Deputy Harrison demonstrated that admitting a mistake is not weakness. It is the first step toward becoming a better officer and a better human being. If this story made you think, tell us in the comments. What was the biggest lesson you learned today? Was it Angela's calmness, Sergeant Brooks's leadership, Officer Mercer's professionalism, or the FBI's reminder that facts must always come before assumptions? And one more question for you. What kind of justice story would you like to see next? Read the comments, share your thoughts respectfully, and you might inspire the next story featured on this channel. Your voice matters, and sometimes one thoughtful comment can start a conversation that changes the way people see justice, respect, and humanity.